Do you want to leave the UK and start living a life abroad? In this video, I'm going to give you the 10 steps that you need to take in order to move yourself out of the UK and to your new country. I'm speaking from personal experience. I've been living out of the UK for literally exactly 3 years now. 3 years tomorrow, I'm pretty sure it is, since I left the UK for Australia. And yeah, it's fair to say in them 3 years, I've got quite a lot of experience and knowledge about moving and living abroad because I've been doing it for quite a few years now. And at the end of this video, you're gonna have a very good idea on how you can move abroad by following these 10 steps. So let's get straight into it. So get yourself a notepad and pen, make these 10 bullet points and follow them. And by the end of it, you will be able to move abroad. Number one, quite simply, is to pick your destination. Obviously do some research into this, preferably if it's somewhere you've been before and you know that you already like it, then that's a good option. But I moved to Australia and I've never been there and ended up loving it. So do some research, make sure you know where you want to move, and yeah, pick your destination. Number two is to pick your visa or anything like that for getting yourself into that country, being able to work there. Depending on which country you move to will depend on which sort of visa you get. If you're moving to Australia like I did, you're most likely going to go on a working holiday visa. That's the same for New Zealand and Canada. So pick your visa. There's so many different visas you can choose from, whether that be a student visa, a skilled migrant visa, yeah, working holiday, etc. The list goes on for visas to get yourself into that country. So this does depend on which country you're moving to. Number three is to start saving and budget yourself for how much you're gonna need when you move to your new country. You might already have the money that you need to move, in which case you've just got to kind of maintain that and make sure you don't spend too much before you go. You might have not saved the money yet before you move to your destination. So if that's the case, then set yourself a goal of how much you want to save, whether that be £200 a week, £100 a week, whatever. Set yourself a goal, get rid of any distractions and make sure you save that much money before you go. Really important that you have the savings with you when you travel because yeah, there's nothing worse than running out of money. Number four is to organize all of your documents. This was a nightmare for me because I left just after COVID and there were so many shit little extra documents which I needed. I'm sure it's a bit easier now, but this is everything. It's worth having a print of everything, like your birth certificate, have your visa printed off, even have some bank statements printed off. Just, I didn't really need all of this, but just to be safe when you first move, it's good knowing you have everything sorted when you first move. So print lots of stuff off print a copy of your passport just for backup and stuff, and it's just good to have with you in case. So make sure you have all of your documents printed off before you go to your destination. Point number five is secure accommodation for your new country. Whether you're moving straight into a house or whether you're doing some traveling first will depend on where you move. If you're moving into a house, it'd be good to get that sorted before. You can't always get it sorted before you move there, but if you can, it's amazing. We actually had this place in New Zealand sorted before we got here, but with Australia, we actually got there, stayed in a hostel and then looked for accommodation. But definitely sort at least a hostel first, because you don't want to get there and find that you haven't got anywhere to stay, because that's just going to be a nightmare. Step number six is to find a job, or at least have done some research into what kind of job you want to do, get your CV updated and stuff like that. You're not always going to be able to secure a job before you go somewhere, because sometimes they might want to interview you, especially for jobs like in the city. It's hard to get a job lined up before you get there, but you can get an interview lined up, or with certain jobs you can actually get them lined up before you go there. If you want to do some research, it is sometimes good to just kind of have an idea of what sort of work you want to go into. To be honest, when I first moved, I kind of winged it and I was just open to getting whichever job I did. You can do it that way, but for the security aspect, it's probably best to have something lined up first. That is not completely necessary. It kind of depends which route you want to go down. Point number seven is travel and health insurance. We booked a travel insurance for the year. This covered us for anything that might happen, cancelled flights or lost baggage, stuff like that. That was for the flights, but we also had an insurance for the year for if anything did happen. Depending on which country you're in will depend on what sort of insurance you have to get, depending on the healthcare. in that country, Australia, it is worth getting some insurance for the year because you do have to pay for a lot of things. Doctors aren't free over there. So yeah, it's worth getting insurance. Australia, for example, they do something called Medicare, which if you do have a doctor's appointment, you can actually claim money back. So again, this one depends on your country that you're moving to. But don't forget insurance because it's, you know, it's something which you hopefully won't need, but if you do, you'll be glad you've got it. Step number 8 is to sort out any banks or bank cards, bank accounts, stuff like that. Before I moved to Australia, I made sure I got a international bank card. I got a Monzo card, so it's better than getting to your new country and instantly having to set up a bank account because you don't want to be using your English card, for example, in Australia because it's going to charge you. So I had a Monzo card, which is an international card, so I was able to use that straight away when I got to my new country. I did actually have to open up a bank account in Australia to get paid, but for that first few weeks, I was perfectly fine using my Monzo card. So I would recommend going with, yeah, a Wise, a Monzo, anything like that. An international card before you actually move because it's going to save you having to, yeah, get that set up straight away. Step number 9 is to pack your stuff and downsize because you don't want to be packing everything. Make sure you're packing all your essentials and not forgetting anything. You can forget some stuff because you can just buy it in your new destination, but make sure you're packing all your essentials. And number 10, say goodbye and embrace them last few weeks with everyone because, yeah, especially if you're going to be moving abroad for a while. For example, when I moved abroad, it was initially meant to be a year, but I was loving it in Australia, so I actually ended up visiting the UK over 2.5 years after I initially left, so it was quite a long time. Luckily, I booked them a couple of weeks before I left off work, which made sure I got to spend all that time with my friends and family. You want to spend that time, you know, nicely because it could be a long time before you see them people again. And once you've done them 10 steps, you can move abroad. There is a few little other complications, but as long as you follow them 10 steps, it is very easy for you to move abroad and you can start living your new life in your new country, which is so exciting. It was one of the best moves that I ever made, and getting out of the UK in my 20s, I think was one of the best decisions I could have made. Honestly, I think anyone in their 20s will benefit from leaving the UK, and I definitely think you should make the same move. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I've also released a full moving abroad guide, which I'll leave on the screen. It goes into a lot more detail on all the points I've spoken on today, whether that be finding work, jobs, insurance, anything like that. It goes into a lot more detail. So for you guys who have any more questions, there's a good chance that it's going to be covered in that guide, so that will be in the description. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon with another one.